In this video, we'll continue with the income statement. So after we have the trial balance, which is complete, then we do the financial statement. So the first statement is the income statement, which is simple. And you're going to have the outline on the left, and you're just going to fill in the numbers. And so you're going to look for sales revenue, service revenue. So you're going to come over to the trial balance. You're going to look for service revenue and sales revenue. So here you have sales revenue is 0, service revenue is 319,000, and I'm going to bring over 319,000. Okay, right? So sales revenue plus service revenue less sales discounts less sales returns and allowances gives you net sales revenue. So the first two you add, these two you subtract, and that gives you net sales revenue. All right. And then I go to cost of goods sold. So I just go over to the trial balance and I look for cost of goods sold, and cost of goods sold is 0. So I bring that over as 0, and net sales minus cost of goods sold gives me a gross profit of $319,000. All right. So now we can do operating expenses. We look at the total. Let me change the view here. We look at the total selling expenses. Selling here is the name of the category. Administrative expenses is the name of the category. You're going to do salary expense, supplies expense, cleaning expense, and then depreciation expense, salary expense, insurance expense, and rent expense. Right? You're going to put those in, add those in. So here we have selling expense, salary, supplies, and cleaning. So I'm going to go to the trial balance. And I'm going to get for my selling expense, I'm going to look for everything with selling. Here's cleaning of 1,000. Here is salary expense of 31. Here is supplies expense of 10,200. So you add those three together, you bring them here, and total selling expense is 42,200. Now what administrative expenses? So I go to the trial balance and I look for everything that has admin on it, right? So depreciation expense admin, insurance expense admin, rent expense admin, salaries expense admin. So I'm going to bring those over to the income statement. So depreciation expense, salaries expense, insurance expense, rent expense, and I add those up together, and my total is 21,800. So this is my total selling expenses. This is my total administrative expenses, right? So my total operating expenses of 64,000 is the total selling expense plus the total administrative expense. I add those two together and I get total operating expense of $64,000. My gross profit of 319 minus my operating expenses of 64 gives me my operating income of 255,000. So I take gross profit minus operating expenses, that gives me operating income. I don't have any of these. You're going to have these later. You don't have them now. So there's no interest revenue, no interest expense, no gains, no losses. So this is all 0. So my 255,000 in operating income becomes my income before income taxes. There is no total other revenues and expenses right now at this point. And then I have income tax expense. So I go to my trial balance. I look for income tax expense of 9,000. And I put that in, income tax expense 9,000. I take income before income tax minus income tax expense of 9,000, and I get 246,000. That is my net income. So you should know how to get from sales revenue all the way down to net income on the income statement.